have the local municipal condemned a second of our property. So they wanted to discuss it and make the final assessment if it was going to be condemned on the 1st of September. And then it became like second, third, fourth, fifth, and like nothing happened. So what we're going to talk about in this video is like how much have it like cost us so far in the loss of cash flow, having this property condemned for around 18 months. So if we ask ChatGPT, then it can calculate it, right? So it says like you asked, if I have had a house sitting empty since April 2024, and we are now almost in October 2025, and it negatively affects my cash flow by 8,754.32 Danish crowns per month, how much has it cost me so far? And then the calculation is 157,577.76 Danish crowns. So since they didn't tell me what was happening, is it condemned or is it not? Then I went into the local website and then tried to find it there, and then you can find like the things there. And then I found out like they had postponed it. So the house is just like standing there. Nothing is happening to it, but it's still like just burning through cash because the vacancy and the renovation. So the idea was actually to spend, while the tenant was living there, around 150,000 on renovating the property. So it looked like this before the tenant moved in, and then now it looks more like this, right? Because he broke all the windows and doors and took down the ceiling, and there's like a lot of damage to the house, and the entire yard is like a junkyard. But if we look at like the economy, then I bought this property with the tenant inside. So that means like it's not a tenant I chose, it's someone else who chose the tenant. So the rent per month were like 5,200. Then we had like some cost with like operating the thing. So they are like 10,400. There was like no deposit. So this is just like going through the numbers the year before, like when it's rented out at this price, right? Then we have like a pretty aggressive financing. So we paid 215,000 for the property. We had a pay down of 10,000, including like lawyer cost. And then at the moment it's been paid down to 120,000. So that means like the buying cost and like the loan now is around half, right? And then we had like the 150,000 that we wanted to renovate the property with. So the economy for a year before this is like 25,653 in net profit, and the cash flow on this property is 4,800 because it's a very, very aggressive pay down of the mortgage. So the mortgage is like 8 years, then everything is paid off, right? So that's the deal we make. The only thing is that when we don't have that much cash, right? So we only have like 400 crowns per month. We can go down to McDonald's and we can buy like a burger. But all the money I put into bricks, I cannot take a brick from this house, go down to McDonald's and say like, I want a burger. But the 400 crowns can buy me a cheeseburger. But then again, I can't go and then buy a house with the cheeseburger. I can only buy a house with cash. So the thing is that we did buy 6 houses, like for 10,000, including lawyer costs, right? So we did buy a lot of these, right? But they don't have that much cash flow. So if you do use this strategy, then you need to find the cash for like improvements and other stuff from other projects. So that means like you need to have like other sources of cash, and that is not having the house empty. But we did have the around 150,000 Danish crowns, so that is like 20,000 euros to make the improvements on the house, and we were ready to start. So like we did get offers, right? So the minimum was like the 20,000 euros. It's a little bit more than 20,000 Danish crowns. So like one of the things was to change all the windows and like renovate the bathroom, new kitchen and stuff like that. But we tried to start the project, but then there's always two sides to a case. But the workers we had said that the tenant was being very aggressive towards them, right? So we couldn't do that. So I evicted the tenant, but then after I evicted him, then they came with like this ban of the house. But you see, like because of the ban, then like the cash is just burning, right? And this time I did, like, because the last time I didn't know, right? Like, so the tenant smashed the house, I kicked him out, and then all of a sudden the municipal comes and wants to do the condemnation of the property. I didn't care, right? The only thing was I had to meet in the Danish Maritime Court on the 8th of April, so I couldn't be at the house. So I asked the municipal, can you please find another day? I've evicted the tenant if you want to see the house. And they said, no, the tenant is going to let us into the house. And then what happened was that then the police actually called me. So I was in the Maritime Court, so that was like a case we had with like some insulation that where for the most part I won that case. But then I'm there, and then there's a break at 12, and I can see that I have a long list of unanswered calls. And then the phone rings, and it's the police, so that they've got like a report that someone broke into the house at 10:59. So that was like the municipal that had brought the tenant. So the municipal was inside the house, then the tenant started smashing the garage. And then at some point they thought, okay, this is not really that good. So they left, went back to the office, and then they called the police and said, oh, there's been like a break into the house. And then they put down this ban that we cannot renovate the property. So there's like a tax benefit for that, but like the thing with the rent is that now the rent went from like 5,200 to 0, right? We still have like some maintenance of the property. We still need to pay to heat the property. We still need to do some things, but we have this aggressive financing that we still need to pay, right? So the economy now is like minus 21,806 Danish crowns per year, but the cash flow is minus 42,651. So over the past like 18 months, we've seen that like the cash we had to renovate the property is like slowly vaporizing. Because if we look at like the scenario, you have the rental income of like 5,200, but now we have the cost of 3,554 per month. So that's not the cost, it's the cash leaving the account. So that gives like a difference total of 8,754. So that's where like with the chat GPT over time, we can see that like it's now like 157,577 cash that is sort of like missing, that should have been like coming in after we renovated, should have been rented out within like 3 months again at a higher rent, right? So that money is kind of missing, right? So we're missing actually the entire money that was supposed to be used on the renovation. Anyways, there are like some secret papers that the judge has says like they need to give us. They still haven't given those papers to us. So subscribe to the channel, see what happens next in this thing. If you like the video, give it a like. If you don't like it, give it a dislike. If you have any comments, write them below. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.